My challenge this time is to rescue this old land barge that has been parked 20 plus years and then drive it 400 miles home. Remember my pal Dave Wallace who had the 61 Belvedere in an earlier video? Well, this is another car I'm helping him sell for retirement. So it could be yours in the end. Made it. So I was just talking to Dave and he says that this car has been sitting here at least 20 years. He thinks a little bit longer than that, but it's been at least 20. And here we go. It's been undercover. 1971 Chrysler New Yorker with 440 in the stylish honeydew with a green vinyl top. So my plan here is to do no harm, make it run. I think I'm going to begin by pulling the cover off, discovering the whole car, and I have to pick it up and put tires on it because these are all dry rotted. That one actually blew just sitting here, but look what good shape it's in. So let's have a look at this thing first. Wow, this thing is clean. It is, in fact, honeydew, Y4 code, and it's a little bit more oxidized and stained than what it looks like to you on video, but not bad at all. Actually really good. The vinyl top is flawless. There's one dent in the trunk lid. I'll tell you the story about that, but let's witness the 440. Unfortunately, I looked at the VIN and the code for the engine is T. This is the lower performance 440. You could have gotten the U code, which would have been the same engine that you would have gotten in a CUDA or a GTX or something like that. But this is the lower compression, smaller camshaft version of the 440, advertised at 330 horsepower. Ah, check the green. And it has that old car smell. Wow, this is nice. The gauges are like crisp. You know how you can never get the gauges right again after a car's been worn down? Well, this thing only has, wait for it, 74,164 miles on it. Sorry, 165. 74,165. Look at the condition. Ooh, power windows. I wonder if those are gonna work. Look at the door jambs. This thing is showroom, actually. Okay, that's Dave. What do you got here?
Well, these are pretty much the whole history of this vehicle going back. So fortunately, it came with a lot of receipts over the years. As far as I know, I think I'm the fourth real owner of this car.
Okay.
I've had it since 98. And the guy I bought it from published this Gold Star Classified, which was a Mopar Classified out of Stockton every month. And he came up here to our area for a funeral for my friend Ken Castanino, an engine builder. And he brought this car up. And we had 6 or 7 people that needed to go to lunch. We all piled into the car, drove to lunch, and he started telling me that he had to get rid of this car. He'd just gotten it and he had to get rid of it because it was too long for his garage in Stockton. And he had bought it out of his own newspaper. This was the ad in 96. This was
96.
This was the ad when the car had 46,000 miles on it, I think.
How much was it?
I think 2,500 or something.
$2,900.
$2,900 with
Yeah.
46,000 original. That recently ago. So the guy placed an ad in Napa area. The guy who published this himself liked the car enough that he bought the car. He brought it home, and almost immediately he had it in his garage, and he couldn't quite close the garage door in Stockton. So he had it just open a little bit. One night, his wife heard a commotion in the garage, heard the springs. She jumped out of bed and caught some guy wheeling a 426 street wedge on an engine stand out the door. It was just into the driveway, starting to roll it down with another guy in a truck.
Yeah.
So she yelled at him and chased him down the driveway in the middle of the night. He let the thing roll and jumped into the other truck and took off. So he goes, I can't live with this. I can't have this in my neighborhood.
All because the car wouldn't fit
was too long
in the garage.
So, and the reason it came to him, as we understood it before that, the person who had it in Napa, a guy did a lot to it, a lot of resto kind of stuff to get the thing really prime. And then he died, is what I was told. And when the coroner in Napa came out to the house where he died, he noticed this car in the garage with some dust on it. And he asked the widow, the grieving widow, what's the deal with the car? And she goes, well, I don't drive it anymore because after my husband died, I took it out, I brought it home, I brought the electric garage door down, and it hit the trunk and made a dent. And she goes, I knew my husband would never forgive me, so I took that as a sign not to drive again. So the coroner made arrangements for one of his buddies to buy the car.
Actually.
And that's how it got here. And so, and then, like I said, that's how it wound up coming from Napa to Stockton to this guy. So I said, how much do you want for this? You know, like, I'd love a car like this to go to LA. 400 miles to LA.
Yeah, gets great mileage.
Great mileage. great for as cheap as it was to operate, though. That didn't really bother me too much, you know?
Yeah.
And it was great on the highway, 80, 85 miles an hour going over the Grapevine. Beautiful car. And it was big enough to sleep in the back seat because I'm a rest stop guy. If I only have a few hours, I like to pull into a rest stop. So this one had the room in the trunk for any paperwork and things I was taking, tools, whatever. And I could sleep in the back seat at a rest stop.
Yeah.
And not have to go to a motel. So that was the concept why I got the car. And I drove it for 2 or 3 years and then got divorced.
Yeah. And that's why it's parked.
It moved down the list of things that had to be done because I was getting divorced, not just from my wife and mother of our child, but my business partner.
Yeah.
So all that came apart. I had to buy her out. So all my cars I had 7 or 8 cars, and all of them moved down for, you know, a couple of years. Then some guy hired me to do Hot Rod Deluxe, and that sucked up all my time. It's sad. It's all your fault, really.
Yeah.
It sat for 20 years, really. I used to start it up, and then finally I stopped doing that. So it has not really moved except for rolling out to take some pictures in 20 years. This is the first time.
So we got classifieds.
You can have those. This was my original to-do list.
Okay.
I was working through that. Lots of receipts, title.
Yep.
Lots of receipts back to the beginning of the car's history. And that's how I know some of what I know about the death and stuff, because just from notes from people. So,
oh yeah, it belonged to Gladys, it looks like.
Yeah, I think Gladys was the one. And I just happened to see a note where her husband had died. I think anybody who owns this car, sorry, doesn't like garage doors.
Yeah, divorce.
And the husband's going to either die or get divorced.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can have all this. And if you look at it, it's a pretty cool trail of the one woman saying that I think they bought the car in Louisiana, original owner. And then the original guy got sick and she left the car with the dealership to have a little body work done, apparently, and never went back and picked it up. So I believe that dealer back in Louisiana, wherever they were, sold it to the guy out here in Napa. That's how it got to the West Coast.
So it got lien sales or whatever.
Maybe, with no miles on it, because it only had 46 when this guy bought it.
Yeah.
And it's, I think, 60 something now. So
74.
74. Okay. So I only drove it for probably 3 years and put maybe 20,000 on it.
Yeah. Huh. Cool.
I love the car.
And in the back seat, we also have like shop manuals for it and stuff.
Chassis service guide, pretty much everything. Color selections, interiors. So, and they pretty much pushed all the options, I think. That it's pretty much got everything.
Except for the good motor.
Yeah, if you could have had the TNT instead of the HP, but I'm sure that wasn't that important to the old people. But they did check all the boxes for options. It seems like it's really well optioned.
I hope it works.
Yeah, well, that would be nice, huh?
I think I'm going to jack it up first, take the tires off.
Good idea.
And can we use the truck to run those to town?
Yeah, that's what I planned.
Yeah,
sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and original Chrysler touch-up paint.
Yes, this is a great thing. Look at that with the paint color on it. It's great.
It's probably all dried up, but
maybe. But that's how complete this car came.
Oh yeah, it's nothing in there.
See what it says? What's the color?
Touch-up paint. Oh, this says light gold. I thought it was called honeydew. 71 to 72 Y4 light gold. That's so attractive.
Cool, huh? Yeah.
All right, he's opening the door for more light. I'm going to start by jacking it up, taking the wheels and tires off. We got some jack stands for it too. It's pretty low. How am I going to do this? That tire's not going to hold air at all, is it?
No.
Yeah, because this is too low to get the jack under. I will jack it up from the side. Jacking this thing up, there's a whole bunch of black widow webs underneath the car. A lot. Got an 8 3/4 rear end, of course. Dual exhaust. I was pulling the center, scared of spiders.
I think it'll buff out, don't you?
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, wheels are off. Dave loaded them in his cool 66 Chevy C20 with the high torque 327. And I'm gonna start having a look at the brakes here, starting with the master cylinder. The brake pedal is hard, which might mean it just needs the power brakes fired up, or it might mean that the master cylinder is all rusted together. The fluid is low, but it's there. Guess which fluid I didn't bring with me? Brake fluid. I wonder if he's got brake fluid. I put fluid in the master cylinder, and I also went around and tried to see if all the brakes would just spin freely, and they do, with the exception of this one. So I'm gonna go behind there and adjust the shoes in and hope that that's the problem. I will tell you that I tried to step on the brake pedal, and it's really firm, to the point that I'm concerned brake lines are plugged, but it could just be that the power booster is that aggressive on this thing. I'm gonna have to get the engine running before I can really know what's going on. So I'm just gonna adjust this. I tried to adjust the brake shoes in, but the slot in the back of the backing plate is blocked by the spring plate so that you can't get in there with a screwdriver. You need an actual brake spoon that I don't have with me. And so I'm trying to get the drum off so that I can make this adjustment. And you can see that it's springy at the bottom and not at the top. And that is a sign of the drum being caught on the shoes, because when I pull here, the shoes are springing in and out, and up here they're locked in a little bit more solidly. So cross your fingers. I got the drum off. This lining is not really bonded to the steel part of the shoe, so that's no good. It's basically just sticky in there. The material was sort of stuck to the drum, so I can clean that up, adjust it, and hopefully it's going to be okay. But right now, I made an appointment for the tire shop, because obviously I needed new tires on it, and so Dave and I are gonna hop in his truck and run down to the tire store. Dave's old C20 is so killer. Look at the patina on this thing. I kind of want this truck. It gets used all the time for dump runs and for moving stuff. And in this case, we ran to a local tire shop to drop off the old stuff and install new tires. They're going to be Hankook 235/7015s. Now note that these are factory aluminum road wheels for the Chrysler. I need to pick me up. I walked in, was super stoked about the condition of the car, and then I started working on the brakes, and I'm really depressed that I think it's gonna need a lot of parts. I think the brake hoses are probably all clogged up. But anyway, I've ordered wheel cylinders. We'll put those on and see what happens. But I need another victory, and so I'm gonna change the battery, because I'm gonna find out if the windows go up and down, and if the power seat works, and if the lights work. I'm not gonna crank the engine, as tempting as that may be, though, because I want to pre-lube it. And I got the tool coming for that, so let's do battery. Okay, battery's connected. I need the win. Does the dome light work? There's no dome light in it. That's the first thing I've seen that's sort of missing from this car. All right, how about the power windows? Ooh, the key buzzer works. Ready? Yes. Look at that. Here's a rule. On an old car, never put the window all the way down the first time. You want to be able to assist it up, but man, that's like guillotine action there. How about here? That one's real slow. Let's not touch that. That works. So the passenger side is a little hinky. Yep, passenger side on both is a little hinky. Pretty good. How about headlights? Yes. Taillights? Side markers. Taillights work. Okay, aside from the enraging key buzzer, that was a win. Now I can move on and make a fuel system. Ooh, wait. I said I was gonna do fuel system. I forgot to test the power seat. Will it work? Man, I hope so, because it's kind of in an awkward position. Key buzz, and, ooh, tilts up. Will it go back? Ooh, that's as far back as it goes. Why did they make these enormous cars and the seat doesn't go back far enough? It's so weird. I would totally have this seat another 3 inches back. Oh well, I guess backseat passengers were, you know, the priority. Oh wait, horn? Do you need the key on for the horn? No horn. Gonna need to disconnect that key buzzer. Ooh, it has aftermarket gauges. There's water and a Stewart Warner oil pressure, VDO water, and it has a clock. Ooh, how about the dash pad? Flawless. The dash is not cracked. All right, enough fooling around with amenities. I really need to get to work. This is a dent that Dave was telling me about. Apparently, a prior owner had a garage door come down and hit this car right here, and that dent made them sell the whole car. So here we are. Okay, wait till you see this trunk. I've already looked in here. Immaculate. It's got the factory cardboard on the wheel wells, factory carpet. It's got a couple, you know, wheel lip molding deals. This thing is nice. So why am I looking in the trunk? It's because I'm gonna make a fuel system that goes in here. Here's what we know. The thing's been sitting for 20 years. I took off the gas cap and smelled the stock tank and it is straight varnish. And you know that means the sock in the tank's all clogged up. Maybe the fuel line is gummy. You know the carburetor's junk. Probably the fuel pump is bad. So I'm not even gonna troubleshoot. I'm gonna bypass all of that, put a tank in the trunk, and run a rubber line with a click-clack electric fuel pump all the way up to the front. Boy, I don't wanna mess up this carpet or anything while I'm doing that. I hope it's not glued in. Ooh. Dude. This thing has not a speck of rust. That is incredible. This car is nice. Oh, what's this? Okay, let me go open up my new fuel cell and throw it in here. All right, I got a fuel system butchered into the trunk. This is a tank that you can buy at Tractor Supply. It's 14 gallons. We've used them a bunch. They're actually kind of handy. And I've also got a little click-clack fuel pump in here. And you'll notice that it's not the standard parts store click-clack. This is one from a company called Facet. And I found that they are similar to the old school actual click-clack pumps. And I think they're gonna survive much longer than what I'm used to. Those red ones just have failed on me constantly lately. This one says on it, assembled in America. I assume that means from imported parts. I've also run rubber hose all the way up this side and wire all the way up that side. And now I'm gonna connect the battery and make a toggle switch under the dash because I'm going all out pro. I'm not gonna open the hood every single time I stop to disconnect the fuel pump wire. I'm gonna have a toggle switch. This is butch, but I've done no harm. This car is so clean and I didn't want to like go through the fuel system and butcher it. I wanted to save that so that it can be like done nicely later on, and all of this stuff will come right out without drilling any holes, denting anything, scratching anything, and hopefully not making the whole interior smell like gasoline. Okay, it's a complete hatchet job, but I've got the electric fuel pump and plumbing hooked up. There's no fuel in it. I've got the toggle switch on. I'm gonna touch this and we should hear click clack from the back. And we do. Hear it? Ah, old school click clack. I love it. Not gonna run it dry too much. Now I need to move on to the next thing. Carburetor. This thing has the factory Carter on there, and I'm weighing my options here because I think that the fuel system is all crudted up. And I know for a fact that the tank is full of varnish. But here's the question. When this was parked 20 years ago, did the gasoline evaporate out of the carburetor faster than it could turn into varnish? And therefore, the only bad gas is in fact in the gas tank because it hasn't been cranked. There's no bad gas in the carburetor. This is me talking myself into just trying this carburetor and finding out if it works. Now, there are a couple of other options. One of which is take it apart to clean it and hope that I can seal it back up. There was no carburetor rebuild kit for this thing in 6 counties. And that's the reason why I brought an Edelbrock carburetor with me that is very similar to this one and could bolt right on, but then it wouldn't be original. And I would have to deal with linkage and hacking stuff and choke pull off and stuff like that. And so what we're gonna do is assume this carburetor works. So the next thing I have to do is crawl underneath and disconnect the factory mechanical fuel pump and plumb my new butchered fuel system to it. Of course, what I don't want is for that mechanical fuel pump to suck varnish up out of the tank and pump it into the carburetor or spray it all over the engine compartment. So that's my next job on my back. I went underneath and disconnected the factory mechanical fuel pump and plugged the hose that comes up from the tank. Hopefully we don't get varnish anywhere. I was really encouraged that there was no old gasoline that drained out of the fuel filter. Hopefully that means the carburetor is dry and in good shape. What was not in good shape were the rubber fuel lines down there. They were hard as rock. They probably are at the back of the car too. Another strike against the factory fuel system after 20 years. I did inspect the fan belts and they appear to be okay, at least okay enough for me on this day. Now what I'm gonna do is try and plumb my sort of hack fuel system to the carburetor. I stole a fitting off of my brand new Edelbrock and I'm gonna try and put that in there, but I am seeing from here that the connection there is already completely maimed, so I am going to attack it with the Parrot Jaw vice grip, which I only recently learned about from vice grip Derek. This is gonna be key. Watch this. Okay. I connected the carburetor and sort of half-heartedly sprayed it off with brake clean. That's rebuilt. It's gonna run perfectly. The next thing I'm gonna do is address that transmission fluid leak. Now, Dave did tell me that he had a pan underneath this thing and some cardboard, and all of that stuff was full and saturated. And so whatever's leaking right there has happened in the past month or so. That means I'm gonna have to put fluid in the transmission, but more importantly, I'm gonna have to go under there and see why it's leaking and see if I can fix it. And judging by where it is, I'm guessing it's the dipstick tube, and that I'm gonna go under there, fiddle with a little bit, and then tell you that it's good enough for now. That's my prediction. Let's go. All right, I'm under here investigating, and there was oil on all the bolts holding the pan on. I'll give them a cinch. It looks like the gasket is already smushed pretty flat. I am concerned it might be coming from the front pump seal. I'm gonna loosen the inspection cover and see if fluid pours out when I do. I've seen that. Oh, yep. Sure enough. I loosened all of the bolts that hold this inspection cover for the torque converter, and it is dripping fluid out of there. So that is one of two things. Either the front seal is bad or it's leaking down over here and getting behind the front cover. So I'm going to take the cover off and find out if there is fluid all inside the bell housing or if it has just run down. All right, inspection cover off. Okay, the inside of the bell housing is dry, meaning that it hasn't run with this leak and it hasn't thrown a bunch of fluid everywhere. But is there fluid here? Okay, got lucky. It is not the front seal, as far as I can tell. It appears from the witness marks that just fluid running down from here to here has seeped up in there, because actually this face is pretty dry. So I think I got lucky. Oh, look, you can see the witness mark of the fluid on the inside bottom of this inspection cover. See how it's just along that bottom edge right there? So that tells you what was going on. See? The drip on the ground is here, so it's either dipstick tube or pan gasket. All we're gonna do is cinch stuff up, wipe stuff off, and cross our fingers. Well, I'm messing around with the transmission. All of the pan bolts were loose, so I tightened them, and then I threw a wrench on the oil pan on the engine, and those bolts were loose too. So I snugged all them up, and then while I was under here, I realized this is gonna be the best angle to get the spark plugs out of this pooch. So I am pulling plugs, spraying some lube in each hole, just in case rings are stuck, and then I am gonna leave all the plugs out, and when I get to the point of cranking it over, I'll just crank and spray all that lube out. And there's another spark plug. All the spark plugs are out of it except for one that I couldn't get to because there's a bent heat shield and I just wasn't gonna mess with it. There is lube sprayed in all of the cylinders so that hopefully if there's a stuck ring, that'll help it break loose. And next thing I'm gonna do is drain out this old oil and put some new oil in it. Old oil out, new oil in, and I'm about to do something that shows remarkable empathy for the glorious 440. See this stick right here? This is the tool that I had left at home that slowed me down yesterday, but I overnighted it from Summit. This is gonna help me pre-lube the oil pump. I'm gonna remove the distributor, remove the intermediary shaft that has the gear on it that drives the oil pump, stick this in there and spin it with a drill motor and try and get oil pressure. The reason that I'm doing this is I've got experience with these big block Chryslers draining down and then the oil pump not picking up oil. And I didn't want to fire up this old flat tappet cam after it's had oil running off of it for 20 years and end up wiping something out. So I'm gonna see if I can make the oil pump with this doohickey. Let me get the distributor out of here and I'll kind of show you my thought process on that. Okay, I'm gonna take the distributor out. I've marked the spark plug wires that I had to remove from the cap in order to get it out of the way. I've marked the position of the distributor body in the engine, and I know which way the rotor is pointing. And on the Chrysler, fortunately, that rotor can only go in one way or the other, the right way or 180 degrees out. Unfortunately, the tooth that makes that possible is in the distributor gear, which I need to remove from the engine. And so I also need to be able to get that distributor gear back right in the same slot. But anyway, let's pull the distributor out. And it is points, so I was able to disconnect it from the coil. Why doesn't it want to come out? It's probably never been out. How can that be? Okay. Okay, I got the distributor out. Now, if you look down in the engine, you can see the intermediate shaft, which has a gear at the top and then a stick that looks remarkably like this that goes down to the oil pump. There is a slot in the top of it. That's the slot that makes it so the distributor can only go in the right way or 180 degrees out. And what's annoying is that slot is not perfectly lined up with the rotor. And so I have to look at it and know where it is, because I got to get that thing back in exactly the same spot if I don't want to completely redo the firing order on this thing. To get it out of there, I'm going to take a regular, flat blade screwdriver, put it in there and rotate the thing counterclockwise, which will make the gear come apart from the cam gear. And then I have to try and pull that whole thing out this hole. Wish me luck. I'm gonna get this right in there. And then if I rotate it, it comes out of the cam gear. But now it needs to come out of the engine. The needle nose. So does that mean I put them down here? Yes. Okay. Why am I sniffing it? Because it smells burned. But you know what? There is no oil on this gear. And that's why I'm going to the trouble of trying to prime it, because in 20 plus years, all of the oil has run off of this thing, which means it's all run off the camshaft, which means that if I crank the engine over, I'm going to have flat tappet lifters grinding up against the flat tappet cam, and it's not going to be good. I hope I can get the oil pump to prime. It's a problem with these things. They lose prime. Let me see what I can do. Let me go get my little drill motor. Okay, here's my drill motor. I'm gonna stick this rod all the way in, and it will engage with the drive of the oil pump. Okay, I'm gonna spin it, and what you're gonna hear, we hope, is all of a sudden the drill will load. It'll be spinning fast, and then it'll go, and it'll have some load on it. That's oil pressure. I think it hit already. It did. Can I see oil in the oil pressure tube? Look at this. I am guessing this drill is not meant for continuous duty under load like that. I could be wrong. Maybe this tape shouldn't be covering the vent. Wow. Let's let that cool off just a little bit. But I think we got it. So I pulled the distributor, stuck the stick in the oil pump, spun it with the, drill motor, 80 pounds of oil pressure. And what I'm gonna do now is hook up the battery, and I just wanna crank it a little bit just to line up a different hole on the crank and on the cam and get oil in different places. So we're gonna find out if it turns or not.
Exciting.
Battery. Oh, there's the electric fuel pump.
Cool.
Hear it?
Cool.
I'll turn that off. Look, I even put a switch in. Okay. Key buzzer. Will it crank or will it smoke? It cranks. Yep. Cool. Let me pump some more oil in it.
All right.
It's almost like life, right?
Man, it put a smile on your face. That's big.
It's something.
So, plus, look at your...
All right, here comes more oil pressure. I just didn't want to crank it with the cam completely dry.
Yeah, and everything else, right?
Yeah. All right, here comes cranking. There's only one spark plug in it. There. I could probably disconnect the key buzzer and it wouldn't hurt my feelings.
No, it's okay. You can make...
Okay, I think I'm ready to put it back together, and that means I can actually try and start it. Okay, that was cool. We got oil pressure, we cranked the engine over, and we're all in better moods now. Now I have to put it all back together and hope that I don't have to redo the firing order on everything. Okay, now I put it back with the screwdriver and clock it to the right gear, which I believe is right there. Nailed it. Okay, cool. Distributor going back in. We are getting close. All the spark plugs are in it. The distributor is timed and back in. Spark plug wires are on. And I've got the hose at the back of the car stuck into a fuel cell or a fuel jug. And what that means is I'm ready to fire up the click-clack and see if this thing turns into a lawn sprinkler or if the carburetor is actually going to be my friend today. Will it spew fuel everywhere? Here comes the click. You can hear it clicking. You'll hear when the gas loads. It may have changed tone. There's a filter back there I could look at. Let's go look at the filter and see if it's pumping. Oh, there it hit. There it went. That was it. Oh, there it got quiet. See? Now it's pumping fuel up here. Is it puking down the carburetor? Needle and seat stuck open. Ooh, I hear it. Listen. It just filled the carburetor with fuel. I heard it. And no, it is not overflowing inside there. Does it actually have an accelerator pump? That would be crazy. Listen. It has an accelerator pump. It works. There is fuel in the carburetor. I'm impressed. Ready?
Ready. 20-something years. I've been waiting to hear this engine run.
When was the last time you think it actually fired?
I think I stopped driving it around 2003 or 4, and probably stopped firing it up right around 2005 or 6.
Yeah, so 20 or 21 years.
Good 20 years ago, easy. And I always liked the way it sounded.
Well, we're gonna see if it runs. We know we have fuel to the carburetor. I hope I have spark. We're gonna turn the key. I hear gasoline pumping in there, which is kind of crazy to me. Key.
Fire extinguisher, handy.
Fire extinguisher is handy.
Yep.
Here it comes. Okay. Is it blowing back up?
It's spitting a little bit out of the primary, looks like.
It's blowing. What that is valves stuck. It'll probably pump up lifters and solve itself. I hope.
Great. Huh.
Yeah, see how it stopped? Nope.
Still
Not
popping
quite.
out the top.
Huh. That is weird looking. It's shooting out of where the, what do you call it? Metering rods are. Never seen that. And it doesn't seem like it has spark. Yeah, you know valves are stuck and it's hitting compression with a valve open and probably doing that. I think it'll self-heal based on past experience. But ooh. This isn't easy. Gonna have to check some things, see what's going on. Man, I'm embarrassed and dumbfounded. I said there was a possibility I got the distributor in 180 degrees out. It's not 180 degrees out. It's something else entirely. I've right now got it on the #1 cylinder on the compression stroke at TDC, and the rotor is not pointing to the #1 terminal. And it's bugging me because I know I put it back together the way it was. I even went to the video evidence and saw that I put it back together the way it was. But I'm seeing what I'm seeing. I'm gonna have to pull the distributor back out, re-index that gear in the engine, and get the rotor lined up in the right place. I don't get it. But somehow it's my fault. No one else is here to blame. Distributor's out. I'm starting from scratch. I'm TDCing it and everything. I remembered that there was the factory chassis manual in the back seat, so I broke that out to show you something that I always go by, although why would you listen to me at this point, having messed this up? But if you look down at that intermediate shaft, the gear that engages with the camshaft that I showed you earlier, it's got the slot in it. Even the chassis manual tells you that that slot runs this way. They actually say it goes with the center line of the crankshaft. In my experience, it never perfectly aligns with the center line of the crankshaft. It's always off just a little bit like that. But you can see I've got it that way right now. So I'm ready to put it back together and make this pile run. I put that distributor back in where I think it belongs, and it's weird because it's in a different place than it was. The vacuum advance hose doesn't even reach anymore. Yeah. Something is weird. I can't figure it out, but I'm going to turn the key and see if we can make noise. Okay. Will it work? I hope it at least backfires really badly. At least. Maybe we should put the #1 spark plug back in.
Listen to that, though. Son of a bitch.
Ran perfectly.
Man.
So let's put this plug back in.
The clatter is all the plug, or is that part of the valve?
No, 100% the spark plug being out.
Whoa.
It works. Dave?
Yeah.
Oh,
awesome. Come
on out. What are you doing?
I didn't know what you were doing.
You ready to hear it run with the spark plug in this time? Look at that. Woo! Like new.
Sounds good, don't it?
Runs perfectly.
Absolutely.
All you got to do is time it and it runs good. Yay.
Wow, good work. Good work, you guys.
Pizza time. We'll come back tomorrow and probably make the brakes work or not. Wow, listen to it back here. No, it's like new.
That's unreal. Unreal.
We should probably make sure it has water in it. Little dust, smoke. That ran really good for an initial fire up after all that long. It was a glorious moment last night when we got this thing to run, and it runs well. The problem is the brake pedal is still rock hard. It won't move at all, even with the engine running and the power booster working. And it needs a master cylinder. I went underneath the car and I saw there's sticky, awful brake fluid all over the frame rail, and I can see it dripping off the underside of the master. And I'm concerned that it is clogging up all of the brake hard lines in the car and has probably swollen up the rubber lines as well. If you have watched Roadkill for a long time, you remember that Finnegan and I had that problem on that 67 Barracuda coupe that we got out of the junkyard in Denton, Texas. And it took us 2 days to clear all the lines out of it. And I think that might be this disaster. And worse than that, I haven't probably explained that right now I'm way outside of Jackson. It is like 45 minutes to a parts store. And that parts store cannot get this master cylinder for a week. And I got to get back home. And so we're going to go to plan B for a road trip home. Now, this is the moment where I drove back home in Dave's 61 Plymouth Belvedere, which you saw in an earlier episode. That car sold for $10,000. Ooh, this isn't quite the same. I'm returning. It's like 3 months later, and I have ordered the unobtainium master cylinder. I don't know what made it so special, but it did have to be custom order. And I've also got other brake parts. My big concern is that the brake fluid in this thing is like Mrs. Butterworth's. It is all sticky, syrupy, and thick. The master cylinder is locked up solid. And so I'm hoping that when I change that I can push fluid through the rest of the lines. Let's change the master cylinder and see what happens. Master cylinder's off. I'm comparing it with my new one. The shape of the lid and stuff is a little bit different, but no one cares. What's important is the mounting pattern, which I checked to be the same, and the bore of the outlets on the thing. And I was able to use the plugs that came in the new one as sort of a tester to find out if those sizes were the same, and they were. And of course, that also plugs that old master cylinder. The other thing that you really want to check is the bore size in the back of the master to make sure that's the same, and it is. And the other thing that we can observe here is that there is some leaking out of the back of this master cylinder. It is wet on the booster, and you can also see that there's some crud right there. It's not that bad. I would like it to be worse. I think the primary problem here is that the piston in this old master cylinder is just locked up solid. I might find out that the reason the pedal doesn't move is a clog somewhere else in the brake system, but I sure hope not. The next thing, I am a big believer in bench bleeding a master cylinder. I didn't used to be, but it's huge. Unfortunately, this master cylinder didn't come with the stuff to do that, and I don't have the tools to do it. So what I'm gonna do is bolt up the master cylinder, fill it with fluid, and I'm gonna have my intrepid cameraman slowly work the brake pedal so that I can just see fluid leaking out and try and get some air out of the thing, and then put the lines on it while it's still got just a little bit of pressure on it. That way it doesn't push out an air bubble and suck it back in, and push it out and suck it back in. So here we go. Okay, the master cylinder is on. I'm gonna fill it with fluid, but first I'm gonna take the lines and just thread them in a tiny bit so that it doesn't leak out. And then I'm gonna push that brake pedal and you're gonna see fluid seep out. And that's when I'm gonna tighten these up. So just put that in by a few threads. Brake fluid is evil. Okay. All right, very light press. Keep going. Is the pedal moving? Yep. Not leaking yet. Let me know when you're all the way to the floor. Okay, let me tighten these and keep it to the floor. Wow, these threads are long. Not yet. Okay, off. And then I'm gonna loosen these and then I'll tell you to go down when I'm ready. Okay, same thing, go down. I hear air bubbles coming out. Okay, tightening again. By the way, this method assumes there's still a little fluid in here, which there may not be, so this could be in vain, but we'll give it a shot. All right, off the pedal. Okay, hold on. Okay, down. There's one, there's the other. Stop. Holding. Yep. And that's how to bleed the master cylinder, the completely incorrect way that sometimes works. But it won't if I had a bunch of air in these lines. Okay. All right, firing it up's not that glorious for you because you're watching the episode and I probably made it run like, what, 5 minutes ago or something? For me, it's been 3 months. That buzzer's annoying. Let's fire it up. Nice. Ready for the brake pedal? Sweet. Now I'm gonna give it a lot of pressure and see if anything blows out. That feels like it stops. Nothing's blowing out. Wow, this might be a score. You know the temptation, right? Put the wheels on and drive it. I know I should replace the calipers and the wheel cylinders and all that stuff, but I don't want to. I did notice another big leak under the front of the car. So I'm gonna go investigate that and then decide what to do, which you know is gonna be putting the wheels and tires on and trying it. Let's do that. This is the moment of truth. For the first time, I'm gonna fire it up, put it in gear, and see if it will move for the very first time in 20 years. This is always such a great moment. And buzzer. Nice. Okay, fuel pump on, car on. It's a little cold. Ooh, reverse went right in. Sometimes the torque flight drains down and that doesn't happen. Brakes seem to work. Yep. Yay! We're gonna warm it up, try this thing out. Okay, made it out of the garage. I will put my seatbelt on and we will pull out on the street and see if this junk will actually run and drive, and most importantly, stop. Okay, will it stop in reverse? Yes. Great. Does it have drive? It does. Is the parking brake on? No. All right, let me check brakes. Yes, what a score. Feels like it still needs to warm up. I step on it, it's got a little, hesitation. Braking. Score. 1 finger power steering. It's starting to smell hot, like all the dust from, Dave sometimes says 20 years, sometimes says 25. We'll go with 20 so we're not exaggerating, but you could smell all that stuff burning off. Ready for wide open? There it is. 440 power. Brakes. Totally good. Wow. This is all win, except for the burning. Ah. Oh yeah! Blowing the cobwebs out. Brakes. Yes. I think I'm gonna drive this thing all the way home. Well, I will, one way or another. Man, this thing's quiet and smooth. Interior's flawless. Ooh, it came up to temperature. 180 degrees, hopefully that starts going down. It was full of coolant, we verified that. I'm hoping I can watch a thermostat open right now as it's going to 190. Okay, this could be our challenge. When the thermostat opens, come on, therm. As long as that thermostat works. Oil pressure's killer. Man, I love Survivor cars. You know what? It's staying right about 185. I would like a lower thermostat, but I think that's gonna work. It's not too hot today, but it's warm. After motoring around a bit, I had to hand the wheel to Dave for a final blast in the Chrysler. I'm happy that Dave had that moment, but now we're all cleaned up and I'm gone. And just like that, the New Yorker is away from the spot where it has been parked for 24 years. That is the final number. I talked to Dave's wife and she was able to put 2 and 2 together about like when she started seeing him, I guess. And she said 24 years in that parking spot. And now I'm on the road. I've gone about 5 to 8 miles, something like that. I can tell you this car is silent. No interior rattles, totally smooth, no like lower control arm clunking, none of that. But it is appearing as if it might be running a little bit warm, and that's a massive downside. So I'm probably gonna have to troubleshoot that. But I'm not gonna worry about it right now because I'm driving into evening. I do have 365 miles before I get home, but I'm probably gonna stop on the way. So let's see if this pooch will make it all the way. You can see why people bought these things brand new. They're just like an absolute pillow on wheels. This one is more like a waterbed on wheels. Does not handle good at all, but wow, does it ride like a cloud. It is silent. If I was able to roll the windows up, it'd be even better, but the air conditioning, I doubt it works and I don't want to touch it. I don't want to find out the hard way. I'm just gonna deal with it till I get home. But man, so far so good. Aside from the fact that right now it is running at like 199 degrees. It also starts kind of hard, and I think some of that is fuel boiling in the carburetor because it runs so warm, but I'm not sure. I'm really debating if I am gonna drive this evening to try and keep it cool, or if I'm gonna sleep for the night and cannonball in the morning. When we were leaving, we noticed that it had no brake lights, but it was nothing but a fuse. Everything else that we've touched seems to work. I mean, horn, gauges, speedo, clock, Radio? The radio works. How often do you see that? I can't turn it on because, you know, copyright strike. Glad to see the temp came down now that we're rolling and have no load on it downhill. It's like 190 now. Let's go. Wish me luck. Before I leave this local area, here are some historic views of Jackson, California, where I stayed. It's a gold mining town since 1848. And this National Hotel has been there since 1862. Things were going semi-okay, even though it runs warm, and now it doesn't want to start. You can get it started, and then it won't idle. I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to see if the carburetor is plugged. I keep hearing something that sounds like fluid dropping on a hot exhaust manifold. I don't know. This is going to take some fiddling. I guess I will update you once I have troubleshot. That's the past tense of troubleshooted? Troubleshot? I don't know. Let me see. Okay, what's happening is that fuel pump must be overcoming the needle and seat because it is just dumping gas inside the carburetor, which is why the thing won't idle, because it's just glugging full of fuel. You can see it's actually pouring out right here from the throttle shaft. So I'm gonna try the old hit it with a rock and hope that the needle and seat is the problem, but I'm worried that it's that fuel pump. I would hate to have to drive down the road turning it off and on and off and on to regulate the pressure, but that might be what I'm stuck with for right now, unless I can find a parts store with a little regulator, little deadhead regulator. I've smacked the carburetor with a hammer, and what I'm gonna do now is start it without the fuel pump running to see if it has the same problem when it's not getting pressure from the pump. If it does have the same problem, it's because the float is sunk or the needle and seat is stuck. Well, actually, I'm not flowing fuel, so it wouldn't be that. It almost can't have the same problem when the pump's not running. Let's find out. Got to crank all the raw gas out of it. Got my foot on the floor to give it some air. There it goes. Okay, now will it idle? Yes. Now it's idling. Everything's good. Now I'm going to turn the pump on. Wow, that buzzer's annoying. And we'll see if it dies. If it does, it means it's overpowering the needle and seat, probably. Or I fixed it with a hammer. No buzzing. Also not dying. And the fuel pump must be running and working because it's not running out of gas and dying either. Runs way better. Let's go with fixed. Oh, let's unplug that buzzer. Man, that's gonna kill me. Where's the fuse block? That was a big upgrade. You saw I hit it with the hammer. The first test that I did is run the thing and it ran fine and it didn't die as if the fuel wasn't glugging. The next thing that I did is turn the engine off, but turn the fuel pump on and sat here to see if it was gonna overflow and come out that throttle shaft. And I also felt under the boosters to see if it was dumping, and it's not. So I think the hammer fixed it, but this might be something that keeps rearing its head as I go. Anyway, I'm ready to hit the road. Maybe I'll call for help. Hello? Let's roll. So far, so good. Melon Phase Diner in Jackson, California, by the way. 100% recommended. It's the right place. Great bacon. I should say I did decide that I'm gonna make miles tonight. I want to drive in the evening when it's cool and at night when it's cool, because this thing is definitely showing a tendency to run hot. I climb hills, even when I am featherfoot on the exhaust, it gets to 210, I've seen 215, I don't like it. So we're gonna motor into the evening and hopefully nothing else goes wrong. Good morning from Melody Ranch Motel in Paso Robles, California. I was here just a few months ago with Dave Chappelle in his Mazda mini truck, and now with the Chrysler. Now, if you know California geography, you know that I was in the Central Valley on I-5, and it was so hot over there that last night I cut up and over the mountain over here to 101 to be closer to the ocean to try and have it be cooler so that this turd doesn't overheat. That did add a whole bunch of miles to my trip. It's now going to be a solid 400 miles from my start until I get home, but it's going to be worth it for better views and nicer weather. I also have a couple things I'm going to do to the car that I hope might make it cool a little bit better. I'm at O'Reilly. This thing has a couple problems I'm going to attempt to deal with. One of which I haven't mentioned before, which is the power steering has been puking on the ground a little bit, just sort of a steady drip. So I'm gonna put some Lucas Super Snot in there. This is really only to fix leak seals. So if it's a hole in a hose or a fitting or something like that, it's not gonna do anything, but I've also found it's not gonna hurt. So I'm gonna dump that in. The next thing I want to address is the fact that this runs so hot. Even in the middle of the night last night, when it was still, say, high 70s, the thing was running at 200 to 215 degrees. What happens is it's okay when you're on flat ground cruising 70 or 80. Then when you start to hit a hill, you just watch that temperature climb. The cooling system's marginal. But I don't know exactly what's up with the ignition timing. And I can't remember if I even did that when I was working, I don't know, 3 months ago at the beginning part of the episode. So I'm gonna have a look at it and show you this weirdness on my vacuum advance. I think there's a possibility that the ignition timing may have something to do with the fact that this is running warm, so I'm gonna start from scratch on that. This is an unusual distributor. It has vacuum advance, but it also has electronic timing retard, and the factory did that. And if I were to tell you that I knew what their strategy was with that, I'd be lying to you. I don't know. I've always just ripped these things out of there. But it could be messing with me. So I'm gonna unplug that. I've got the vacuum advance disconnected, and then I'm gonna go back and set the timing, look at where it is, both initial and total, and then hook up that vacuum advance and see what it does. See how they've got a quick release on it right here? I moved the distributor and advanced it a little bit. I checked it with the timing light. I now have 15 degrees initial, and I revved it way higher than I did the first time, and I found out that it does tickle in a couple more degrees. It's actually got 22 degrees of swing. So right now it's 15 initial, 37 total. 37 is more than I would like, but I'm not gonna be driving it at 5,000 RPM like it was, so I'm gonna leave it and find out what happens. But I do need the audience to school me on that electric distributor retard. I don't know how it works. When you plug it in, does it automatically retard and then allow the vacuum advance to overcome it? Or does it just work off the vacuum advance until the electric thing retards it? Or is it a limiter? I have no idea. I don't know if it's part of my problem here, but it's disconnected, so it's out of my life, and that's all I care about. Now what I'm gonna do is cinch down the distributor, hook up the vacuum advance, and see how much more timing that pulls in at idle, if any. Hooking up that vacuum advance did nothing at idle, which is unsurprising. It's connected to ported vacuum. That means the vacuum source on the carburetor right here is above the throttle plate, so it's not exposed to manifold vacuum at idle. It's got to be tipped in at just light throttle in order to see some vacuum. That means it won't advance at idle, but we will see some timing advance if it's functioning at part throttle light cruise, and that could help this thing out. That's all I'm gonna do for timing right now. I am just gonna mess with the air fuel mixture because I can. Okay, that was a big change. Something's gonna be different. I know it's gonna perform better. It's gonna be snappier. I hope it doesn't ping. I just stopped and put some 91 in the tank just in case it helps prevent pinging with this new timing. You know, it's fixed. I just don't know if this is gonna work. We're gonna find out right now. I'm getting on the 101 south, 180 degrees on the indicator. I will tell you that it is already snappier and starts better. Now I keep an eagle eye on the temp gauge and find out what happens. It's way hotter outside than it was last night, so it's not a true A-B comparison. Highway Patrol didn't notice that the sticker on the plates is from 2010. Or he did and did not care. Here's an update on my ignition timing change now that I've been on the highway a little while. It's probably better as far as the overheating goes, but not 100%. It's hard to tell because, as I mentioned, it's not an A/B test versus yesterday because the weather is so different. But it will run 190 if I cruise at 60 miles an hour. Bump that up to 70 to 75, and it is going to about 205, but that's not 220 or even 215. So that might be a win. However, at very light throttle, it knocks. At wide open throttle, it does not. So what that tells me is that the vacuum advance is pulling in too much vacuum in those light load situations. And so you can see how vacuum advance and mechanical advance interact. And the whole thing that people say about, oh, if you want to tune your timing, you know, just advance it until it pings, then back off. Well, that's not going to give you the right situation with your timing throughout the curve. It's just picking one point at wide open throttle at higher RPM. Anyway, that's a rant for a different day. Here's what I think is going on. The sticker on the inside of the fender well says that this thing wants 5 degrees of initial timing from the factory. Now, we know that that's not the best thing for performance, but it is what they did probably for emissions or whatever. But what it means is with 22 degrees of advance in the distributor plus 5 initial, it only had 27 degrees total. That's just not that good. But what it also means is that the vacuum advance probably has more sweep in it than I would tune in if it was adjustable. So I think what I'm gonna do is just disconnect the vacuum advance and drive it around and see what it does. What I probably should do is return it to factory settings. I know there's a lot of you guys who are probably saying, Mom, Mopar new best, Freiburger, why are you messing with it? And you're likely right. But what I also need to do is fire it up, and I'm gonna plug back in that timing retard just because I'm dying to know what it does. Does it retard at idle? Does it advance at idle? I don't know. I'm gonna find out. Well, I think this is gonna be my final tune-up of the road trip. I have the vacuum advance disconnected. I do not have the electronic retard working, and I've got it at 15 initial and 37 total. I don't think it's ever seen 37 total in actual operation. And right now, it starts much faster. It clearly has more power. It idles more smoothly. Do I think that it could be even better with an appropriately adjusted vacuum advance? I do, but that's not happening with this equipment on this trip. Now, the downside is all of this really hasn't done anything for the cooling. The cooling system is still marginal at best. Right now, I'm cruising 80 miles an hour, and it's at 210 degrees in the heat of the day. That might be better than it was yesterday. Really hard to say, but I do know that I would want to go through this radiator, probably put a killer water pump on it, have a look at the thermostat, and really, that air conditioning condenser up in front of the radiator is not helping at all. But I'm not going to shred it off this car either. Right, I'm going to keep motoring. I'm coming into Buellton, California. Bad news. I made it into the Southern California area where it started to get hotter. And of course, the Chrysler got up to 220 degrees in traffic. Not good. The good news though, is that we anticipated this, and Dave's brother Sky made me a contraption that I'm gonna use right now to help cool this thing off. Check it out. This is a battery-powered mister that is gonna go under the hood. It's gonna suck water out of this somehow. I'll have to figure that out. And I put batteries in it and it'll blow and it'll help cool this thing off faster. So I'm thinking this will get set in here somewhere. See this condenser right there? That is blocking airflow to the radiator. I can't stand it. It's a necessary evil for air conditioning, but I think it's a huge part of the problem. Maybe I should try and blow sort of back here, like so. I don't know. Let me rig that thing up. I'll get back to you. Okay, I've got it pretty cooled down. I'm gonna go sit in traffic and see if it'll survive like it did when I went through Santa Barbara. It's just that the ambient temperature was hotter here, which was dragging me down. All right. Ooh, I wonder if the power steering leak is fixed. I don't know. Here are a couple tricks for sitting in SoCal traffic. First of all, if everybody's just parked or crawling at like 10 or 15 or barely moving, don't go right up against the person in front of you. You literally will take the hot exhaust gases out of their car and put them through your radiator, and obviously hot air is not going to cool as well as cool air. So stay back a car length. The other reason to stay back as many car lengths as you can is I find if I let a big gap grow, I can speed up to get to the person in front of me and get a little bit of airflow going through the thing. I've done that a lot. You know, often people are gonna just jag ahead of you and negate this, but if you can drop back 6, 7, 8 car lengths and then get some speed moving up before you have to stop again, it will get some airflow. Stupid bugs. There is nothing more stressful than sitting in an old car in gridlock traffic, unable to get to an off-ramp, watching the gauge just climb. And for whatever reason, there's no shoulder or something, you can't get out of the way, and you're just watching your engine get destroyed. It's the worst. Okay, we're at 182. This other lane's moving more, so I will invite myself over here. course, the problem with being in any lane other than the slow lane is if you've got a disaster and can't get over, once again, stress through the top of your head. 190. Part of the idea with Sky's contraption with the mister was to just put it behind the grill in front of the radiator and let it go, but that stupid air conditioning condenser's in the way. Otherwise, that probably would have worked pretty well. 195. Motorcycles can split lanes here. They're only supposed to go 5 miles an hour above the speed of the local traffic. And 200. I am going uphill right now. We'll see what it does on the downside. 205. Okay, we're on the downside. Coming down, 205. Coasting downhill. And so that's pretty much how it's gonna go all the way home. I'll let you know what happens. And I made it. Yep, it ran right at 200 degrees the rest of the way home once I was able to get out of that traffic. Now's the part where I tell you how this car could be yours, but I'm also gonna give you more of an in-depth look at this thing than you've had at any other point in the episode. Now, I think by watching the episode, you know this car is not perfect. It does need some tinkering. The cooling system probably needs to be gone through. I would drain out the tank, even though I think the rest of the fuel system is going to be okay. The power steering still leaks just a little bit. I have never tried the wipers because I haven't wanted to spray the glass, but everything else electrical seems to work on the car, except for the clock in the dash. The aftermarket clock works, but not the clock in the dash. Overall, though, the tinkering that you're gonna need to do with this car is a very small price to pay to get something this sano. This thing is a survivor. It almost has 75,000 original miles on it. And I know a lot of you will look at the odometer and you'll say it's been around once because the numbers aren't perfectly lined up. But with Dave's experience with the car and the general condition of it, I just don't see how there's any way in the world that this car has 175 thou on it. Nope. I think this is an original low mileage car. Let's look around and see how great it is. And I will tell you, I haven't done anything to clean it up. I haven't pressure washed it. I haven't run it through the coin-op car wash, nothing. I figure part of the satisfaction of buying this thing is gonna be to level it up and make it just gleam. This paint would come up nice. Let's begin by looking under the hood. There is the 440. It's a little bit dusty, but it's basically pretty clean. It does have that brand new battery, brand new master cylinder. This contraption that I have no idea what it actually is. You saw me fiddling with the timing. The vacuum advance is now disconnected. Probably you could retard the timing a little bit and hook up that vacuum advance and it would probably be a little bit better. This radiator has been touched before, but it doesn't have a date on it. It does say Radiator Doctor on there, but I think I would pull it out, rod it out, put a new water pump on it, have a look at the thermostat, and probably put on a stiffer fan clutch as well. But you know what? It runs smooth, it runs strong, it doesn't make any weird noises. The transmission kicks down as it should. The trans shifts perfectly. Oh, that's another thing you'll need to do is it just needs a pan gasket because it's leaking. I failed to fix that when I cinched it down. But that part of the drivetrain is really good. You need some follow through to get the hood to shut right. Did it. Let's look around at some of the body damage that actually is on the car. It has a little tiny dent right there where I think somebody had the radiator cap lifted off the radiator and slammed it on that. It's very small. Over there on that fender, there is a little bit of a dent. The big one is back here. Yeah, this right here is really the major bummer. Dave tells me that someone had the car and it was too long for their garage and the garage door came down and hit it right there. So that is a drag. I guess paintless dent removal could get that, but it's not awesome. The taillights and everything are super clean. This would come up with some detail. Look at the condition of the original blue and yellow California license plates. Those are mint. And you know what? There is not a speck of rust on this car. Even if you come here into the vinyl top where there's always rust, I cannot feel a single bump under here. And in fact, this is the single nicest surviving 1970s vinyl top in the history of the world. If you were to come in here and lube it up with some sauce, it would gleam, it would be protected. It's really, really nice. It's not peeling off anytime soon. Let's have a look at the interior. Wow. The interior, I think, is spectacular, except for the fact that it is missing the dome light that is in the glove box. The headliner is pristine. I can't believe how nice the original upholstery is. It's like you don't get to see original like this very much. It is sweet. Let's check under these floor mats. I've never done this. Carpet is like new. How about on the driver's side? Wow, I haven't even vacuumed this thing. Let's see. Driver's side. Perfect. Wow. I'm telling you, the car is nice. You look at the gauges and all of the letters are like crisp. The radio works. I haven't tried the air conditioning. Dave says the heater works. All the lights work. The aftermarket gauges are really good. There's water and oil and a clock. There's no volts or ammeter, but the factory one does work. Oh, I've never lifted the fuzzy thing off the dash. Let's have a look at that. Not a single crack in the dash. It has a little whoopty in it right there that was probably factory, but wow, clean. If I'm glowing about this car, it's because I'm glowing about this car. It's not a style I love, but I love survivors. I love old man stuff, and this thing is great. Even the door jambs are perfect. The door panels, like the seats, crisp, new, perfect. I mean, showroom. Maybe I should keep this turd. No, that's a hard no. All right, I gotta put that back. It's also gonna come with a chassis manual, body manual, owner's manual, and what appears to be like a dealership order book. I also have a pack of receipts for this thing. In addition to the really nice original paint, check out this pinstripe that runs the whole length of both sides of the car. It's like factory, weird day-glow green pinstripe. And don't overlook the factory aluminum rally wheels, and look how nice those original emblems and the original trim is. The thing's clean. Here's the thing I need to tell you about that is very hard to notice, and that is that this door has been repainted. It happened very early in the life of the car. I think from Dave's stories, there's a chance that it was repainted at the dealership. The color match is really, really nice. And of course, the stripe is back on there as OE. But the thing is, if you do look at the door, you can see that the paint finish is not the same as it is everywhere else. It is definitely not as smooth. It has, I don't know, a texture that's different than the rest of the car. But I'm telling you, after spending days with the thing, it's kind of hard to spot, but it is something that you needed to know. And I turned it around so you could get a better look at that glorious backside. I did think of a couple more things. Earlier in the show, I told you that the passenger side windows were really sticky. Well, that freed up. The other thing that we learned was that if you rev the engine up so that you're actually charging, the windows move up and down a whole lot better than they do at idle. So there's that. Also, I think this rear wheel cylinder is leaking a little bit, but the brakes, they worked great, but you do need to fix that. And remember also, this one has that shoe that's not fully bonded, so you're gonna want to go through the brakes. So that's, you know, a little bit of brake work, a little bit of fuel system work, a little bit of cooling system work. It sounds like a lot. It's probably one good long weekend, and then you can detail this thing and you will have a nice nice driving survivor car. Now, remember that I am selling this thing for my buddy Dave, who is actually a longtime friend and in fact a mentor to me in the whole magazine world. And so this money is not going to me, it's going to him for his retirement. They're moving, and so I would like to get him as much money as I can. Now, you know, the 61 Belvedere of his that I drove in a prior episode, I asked 10,000 bucks for that thing, and it actually sold for $10,000. And I'm gonna use that same number right now. This 1971 Chrysler New Yorker Survivor can be yours for $10K. If you're interested, email me, heyfreiburger@gmail.com. It's in the description so that you can type in there and you don't have to spell my name, and you can own this thing. And as far as the DMV goes, I should mention that also. It hasn't been registered since 2010. It is out of the California system. And so do what you need as far as registration goes. So that is the story on the New Yorker. I hope I've got some more rescues and project cars coming up. I'm dying to focus on the Super Bee and the van, so you're probably gonna see that. So stick with me here on the David Freiburger channel and enjoy your new New Yorker.